Welcome to Whack a Boss, where we are going to go and talk about some bosses. Today we're going to be going over a lot of stuff. We're going to be going over the Shaper Guardians, we're going to be going over the Elder Guardians, then we're going to be going over the Shaper himself, and then we're going to be going over the Elder himself. We'll get the fragments from the Guardians, so we're not going to need these. And then I'll do Uber Elder separately because I need to go buy the fragments for it, because we're only going to get 2 of them here. And he's kind of his own thing, since it's the actual dangerous one compared to these ones. Yeah. So let's just start with the Shaper Guardians. We'll just 420 these guys. Might as well just pop some temples or whatever while we do them. Let's see if we get a double corrupt or something, you know. Delirium. Do you want to try and kill it on Delirium? It's kind of hard to see on Delirium. Oh, we actually got a corruption chamber here. Oh, but I only have 3 left, so it doesn't matter. Okay, forget the Alva. That's a bad temple if I've ever seen. Kosis, hello. That's unusual. For a regular Delirium, at least. Yeah, Chimera is kind of one of those bosses that's really bad to try and kill under Delirium, because he has a lot of phases compared to the other ones who don't really have anything like that. And so it's kind of hard to kill him in that time limit because of all the stuff you have to wait for. So we're just going to end it here. Grab our loot real quick. Ooh, very nice loot. Ooh, that's not I-84, but hey, that's pretty sick. Got a 3 passive life jewel. Very nice. Okay, so you can see here he's got a few abilities. We're going to start pushing him so we can talk about the other stuff first. So you can see there's 3 gates. Bottom left, top, and top right. And he's going to do, I believe, 4 waves of minions, 3 per gate. I believe they come at you in a random order, so this time we got snakes first, but you get 1 of all 3. And the top gate here, the right side, will spawn 1 unique mob. What map mods do we have on this? We have increased speed on this one, so it's pretty fast. They don't have extra proj or anything, so that's the normal amount of proj. But yeah, so you're basically going to get a mini boss in the top right corner on the last wave. And they can deal decent damage, I would say. Red circle, you just go out of the red circle. Pretty dangerous. After each wave, and occasionally, he's just going to hop into clouds. And you just need to walk through each of the smoke clouds until you find him. He also has a charge-up attack where he just attacks in front of him, kind of waiting for that, but there it is, that one there. And that's basically all of his mechanics. So we're just going to see he's got the doggos, snakes, doggos, and jumpers. And that's basically Chimera. The small guys, they have mechanics, and the mechanics matter when you're not face tanking, but they're not like super mechanic intensive, right? Like if you can tank it, you just kind of stand there and you tank it and you just do it. Like it's not like some of the other crazier bosses where you have to do the mechanic or you're gonna die, sort of thing. And I believe that he can inflict bleeds. Yep. Got a little goat guy here. Just kill him. Yeah, it's pretty hard to burst him down before the clouds, but it is possible. If you have the DPS and you get a good couple of seconds, he decides to do another attack first or something, then you can kill him beforehand. Alright, let's just do Minnow next. Minnow also pretty straightforward, doesn't have a ton of mechanics. not much to really talk about before we go and see the boss. But yeah, Minnow's got his own little mini arena with a few rock golem ads. And so right off the gate, he spawns on this bottom part here. And then you can see these like lightning coils. You're going to want to be avoiding these because they're going to put lightning out and that will give you a debuff. So you want to stay away from being in between these. But what's going to happen is we're going to go around the back side instead of the front side. Just so we can kind of bait him away from the entranceway. That way if we have a portal at the entrance, we don't get stuck there, right? And you can see, I think we have increased move speed on this one too. I probably should just run these white, but so you can see here he's doing a couple things, right? He's going underneath the ground and then popping up, and that does a lot of damage. You really don't want to get hit by that one. And then he's creating these AoEs, which cause rocks to fall from the ceiling, and those you don't want to stand in very much either. So your main goal here is either to burst him before he kills you because he does a lot of damage, or to just face tank him, because when you're face tanking him, he'll only do rock fall and and he won't go underneath like that as long as I like stay right on top of him. So I stand here and I just attack. He's not gonna do anything other than rock falls, like outside of like, you know, like occasional, like maybe he might decide to do the other mechanic. As you can see, you can dash through these without taking the debuff. And yeah, I mean it's basically Minnow. He does a lot of damage. You just got to be a little careful not to stand in these AoEs for too long, and not to be in between these lightning coils. And that's basically the fight, right? If you have to dodge the attack where he goes under because you're ranged, that's fine. Movement speed and increased AoE are very bad on most of these bosses. Similarly to Hydra, where having multi-proj can be very dangerous. And I'm just going to go ahead here and scour that because it had boss move speed, and yeah, we're just gonna scour these. I don't think there's anything relevant on either of them now that they are white. We can just focus on the mechanics. So for Hydra, and they'll always drop the fragments. You don't have to worry about them sometimes dropping. So for Hydra, Hydra's a little bit different from the other ones because he uses a bow, so he's ranged, whereas none of the other three are really ranged per se. And Hydra has some really complex abilities, but they're not super hard to avoid getting hit by. Unless you have things like move speed or extra proj or whatever on the map, you know. But we'll take a look at what they are and then we'll go from there. Oh, we got a gen. Just kill that intervention. I really need to clear my oh, I have a T3 for each yet. That's sick. Did not know that. But I really need to clear and reset my standard syndicate because it's not very good. Let me just say, I haven't really fixed it all up. Okay, for Hydra, so you can see he does barrage right at the start, and then yeah, you can just avoid that by not being in front of him. He's got his blast rain, which targets specific location. And then he's got his like forking attack. And the forking attack, if we like stand over here, you can see that standing like in front of him like here is usually a pretty safe spot, but then also overlaps with where the barrage is. So the solution is generally to be right behind him, and you're probably not going to get hit by anything. The The hard part is trying to do that while not getting hit by these white balls of ice that are coming across the screen, and of course getting frozen or something would be terrible. And then he has an ad phase that he'll do occasionally where he'll like go invis for a couple seconds while you get a couple ads like this. It's not necessarily thresholded, but as you can see, he wasn't going to do it until we started hitting him. That's basically Hydra. Not the most mechanic intensive, but they do have their mechanics, and they are pretty dangerous if you're playing like a glass cannon. You gotta dodge that stuff, assuming you don't nuke them first, which can be kind of hard with the invulns that they get sometimes. So last regular Shaper boss, Phoenix. Yawn. So yeah, Phoenix very good with the one-shots. As the fight goes on, he stacks a debuff on you that lowers your maximum fire resistance. And so you'll see that I can face tank like his first attack or two, but after like the third one, it can get pretty dangerous. Obviously, Ignite is something to watch out for here. And then also, he's going to start spawning Firebirds, and you can kill them, but they're going to just come back, and they're going to fire projectiles at you as well. You can see our stacking debuff here starting to stack up. There's the explosion. You can see that does a lot of fucking damage, followed by a big Ignite that you would normally have, that I immuned there with the Conk Ground. And yeah, basically you're just going to want to try and clear the birds on the side if you can. Get those projectiles to not hit you is generally a good idea. And that's most of the fight. He has this like swirling blades, and that can actually do a lot of damage. Once your max Reds counters gets to like 8, like he's going to hit pretty big. Like, you can see here we're still tanking pretty well just because it's an unrolled white version of the map. And we've got all of our stuff up, but you don't really get flash charges back during this fight, so, like, now that I have no flash charges, if I don't, like, block or whatever, he's gonna do a lot more damage. That said, yeah, it is still an unrolled white map, and we are very tanky, so nothing too crazy here. But, yep, Phoenix is the easiest one, I think, to do, as long as you're just making sure you're not getting hit by that AoE. You really don't want to do that fight with Ink AoE and move speed on the map, because it can be very hard to dodge the explosion in that case. Because the explosion will cover, like, most of the screen, and then also, with the move speed, he does the explosion very fast. You don't get to see much of the lead up. You can still dodge it, it's just much harder, right? So let's go ahead and do Shaper. Boop. And of course, doing regular Shapers has a small chance to unlock the Celestial Hideout, which is not the Celestial Nebula Hideout. It's a hideout that looks like this, basically. Yeah, and it has... The hideout actually does have 4 portals. It's not quite as long, and it's a little bit different in the styling, because the styling here is based on the bosses that you fight. So you're going to get 4 random other bosses, same mechanics those bosses would normally have. So we're doing a Merveil here, and then she has her phase 2. Just like you would fight them. If you fight Dominus, he has his 2 phases. If you fight Duresso, he has his like, phases. So, yeah. You're just gonna go and fight your 4 corner bosses, whatever you generate. Boop. Almost at the Shaper. This is a notoriously long zone. The first time when people cleared this, like, it was just like, it took so long to do one Shaper run. Of course, the prize here generally being the Flask, the Dying Sun, which gives +2 proj during Flask effect, right? So as we can see here, he's got his 3 Shaper Balls, which can be kind of tricky to avoid. There's the Slam, which I just quite didn't avoid there. That was my bad there. But he has that teleport lead up with the huge, like, celestial cloak around him. And you want to wait until he teleports to dodge, basically. Otherwise, he'll just teleport to your new location. The laser pretty avoidable. So here's the Slam. We're going to dodge. Very easy. And you can see these like balls coming from the side, which explode once you proc them. And just while we're doing the ad phase here, you generally don't want them to be in the middle, starting in phase 2 and 3. They clear between phases, but if these proc in the middle while you're trying to avoid his big attack that comes in the 2nd and 3rd phases, you're going to have a rough time. And you can see us failing to reach the distance requirement to dodge that slam twice there. So it can be a little tricky to get the hang of, but it's pretty doable as long as you get used to it. The Shaper no-hit challenge was pretty fun last league, I would say. So then you're going to get 2 little zones here to run through, and keep in mind this is ID4 zone, so everything that drops is going to be pretty good item level. You can get like your I-86 drops from the boss. But yeah, this is basically a T-17 map. Can we make that jump? No, we can't. Okay, and at the end of these zones, you're just going to fight one of these little celestial guys. They have a big slam. You don't really want to stand in the vortex slam. You can make meleeing them kind of hard, but pretty doable. Just avoid most of the attacks if you can. Just no specific crazy mechanics there. Alright, so here we're going to watch out for Shaper Balls, is the big attack, and then that's basically most of his mechanics. In phase 3, he gets a clone, which you'll see, which just does more of his attacks. Right, so here's the bubble. So you stand in the bubble, right? These balls do an immense amount of damage. Do not be judging those by their size. And you see this ball coming through the middle here. Sorry, I wasn't focused on the laser because I was looking at this ball. But you can see now we have this like AoE in the middle, and that's going to be a problem for trying to do the mechanic later if we can't push the phase, right? I almost just want to do the phase again just to show how bad getting one of these in here is. So you want to, if possible, bait these a little bit off to the side. Luckily, Zana seems to be immune to the the AoEs. Here we go. So you can see here it covers up most of the range of the bubble. And if it's right in the middle, you basically don't have any space. You're like kind of fucked. You have to tank it. See, we have 2 there. Like, it's very bad to get those in there. And he really likes to do them at that point in time. So you want to make sure that right before we're going into that phase, if there's a bubble, you're trying to pop it. So let's just push him into the next phase, go to the next zone. We'll see the clone, and that's basically Shaper in a nutshell. And you see here my flask's being wasted for an entire cycle or more before he actually becomes hittable. So we got bubble. And he'll always follow up after the bubble with a laser or Shaper Balls or something, or a slam. And so you just kind of want to watch to see where he ends up here so that you can kind of dodge it. And you see I got hit by one of those small balls there doing a very sizable amount of damage, and now he's got his clone up, so we got to do add phase with the clone. Proc the bubble. Bad, kind of a bad spot, but not terrible. Let's do this one a little higher. Away from the middle. And then you'll get one of the two Shaper fragments for Uber Elder, and it looks like we got gloves. These got nerfed, so they're not super valuable anymore. They do have an ES roll, and if you get a perfect roll one, maybe they're worth a good something. These are always good gloves to corrupt, because the corruptions on them are important for those builds. If you get like plus gems on it, that's really good for builds that use these. Yeah, let's just clear my inventory real quick. Actually, we don't need to clear my inventory. I can do that later. Okay, let's start with Eradicator, because everyone seems to hate Eradicator. So Eradicator's the lightning one, right? And these guys scale with the map mods now, so I probably should check beforehand, but we're fine here. Less fight curses, less recovery rate, whatever. You just want to avoid those dangerous ones like move speed. Extra proj I don't think matters too much, but even the lightning one I think does have like one proj thing. Okay, so we'll take a look at his mechanics when we get to him. Palace kind of not a good layout for this one. Actually, sorry, I take that back. Because you don't have to kill the boss yourself for the so you're skipping the two-phase Dominus fight here to do the Uber Elder. And you know, Palace layout's pretty linear actually if you're just rushing to the boss. So it's in this situation, it's pretty good layout for like Elder Guardian. You can Horizon these maps to get to get different ones. Alright. So, as you can see here, there's different arenas, and they switch arenas every, they switch arenas every time that they phase, and they phase every, like, third of their HP, the 3 phases each. So you can see here he's gone into ball phase. These are going to spawn into minions, which will give you some small amount of flash charges back. And each of the like arenas has their own hazards, basically. Yeah, so then we have this like lightning attack where you just gotta move around. He has like a single bolt attack he's gonna follow this up with, I believe. Yep. Those do a lot of damage. They kind of just like target you. He's a very high damage boss, generally speaking. But he is pure lightning, so if you have good mitigation for that, you bring a Topaz Flask along, can help a lot. And you can see here that we're just kind of clearing the mobs, waiting for him to go not invulnerable, and then burst him into the next phase. I don't recommend standing and tanking this like this, but it is a large number of small hits, so because I'm using like life on block, you're not seeing very much damage from that particular ability. We see here we got a new hazard, the little ball lightnings again. And that last lightning bolt, I believe, is much stronger than the other ones when he does that mechanic there. But that's basically it, so we're just going to go ahead and kill Eradicator. And a pro tip, if you want to skip the cutscene, there's 2 ways. You can log and then log back in by going... Oh my god, I'm yawning a lot today. By going to the character screen. Or, if you're in a party with someone, you can just swirl out of the encounter once you're done and you grab your loot. Let's do the fire one next. I think that's this one. lots of deliriums today, goodness. Didn't check the map mods. We did get increased speed on this one. So yeah, that's a thing. And of course, if the map is reflect, you can't just skip to the boss and do the boss anymore because the boss will now also have reflect. So. Okay, I am gonna just run this incursion real quick because what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just kill the boss so that I can get back out. And then, because I've now done this, I can proc the temple here. So that if I get more alphas later, I'll have a fresh temple I can work on. And as you can see, I'm skipping a lot of the mobs just to kind of go very fast here, right? Like I'm not, like I'm killing like some of the packs, but not all of them, right? So the there, don't think we're hitting 5. Ooh, enchanted and a perfect fossil, very nice. A crit jewel, not gonna bother picking that up. It's not I-84, so it's not really gonna be worth much, I don't think. And crit ones aren't very popular generally, I don't think either, so what are you gonna do? Alright, so we got our mini arenas here. We have the Calm Arena, as you can see right now. And what's he gonna do? Lots of movement. Nothing too crazy. Maybe we should push his phase. Oh, we got this the big AoE there, just at the end. We'll get to see more of that. Poke, poke. Right, the slam follow up with the AoE. Okay, now he's gonna spawn minions. That's how he does it. Got a firestorm going on. Slam. And of course, the big thing to watch out here for is ignites. If you're gonna take a lot of damage from the ignite, that's gonna be the part that's gonna really be a problem for you. Oh, an Elder Body Arm. 2 Elder Body Armors actually needed some of these. Yeah, they didn't roll anything special. That's okay. Yeah, not much to really talk about with the fire one. I kind of figured he had more mechanics, but I guess not. Constrictor has a good couple of mechanics, I think. I'd like to think. Okay. Man, we're just running in circles in this map. Oh my goodness. Okay. This way, perhaps? Yeah. Bye, Oak. It's always really fun watching the animation kill like Kitava or something. But shit, I need to stop yawning. Holy fuck. I just woke up too. Like I'm like not tired right now. I don't know, dude. I had a really nice sleep last night, dude. After Harvest League ended, just get that good rest. Oh my god. But yeah, watching someone like Oak get killed by the thing just when it normally would have been a short boss is kind of oof. That's why you don't see as many people running these maps just casually as they do with Shaper Guardians. Although you can sextant these ones, so that's cool. But right, so this guy is Chaos, as you can tell, right? And we're getting some spores on the ground here. We're getting some almost arrow-like projectile action. Yep, there's the bow, single shot, multi-shot. Looks like he's not going to do any of his other abilities yet, so let's go to the next phase. Or at least push him a little bit. Oh, yeah, there, we got this one, where this spawns, it's almost like Soul Rend, I want to say. Like, it, like, they don't hone in on you, but they like, swirl really weird, like, you know? Then we got the back pedal with the multi-shot. Generally, you want to be behind people who are using bows, right? Like, that's what we learned from Hydra, is kind of the same thing, just chaos damage instead of cold damage. Just gonna have a couple new abilities going on for sure. Like this one, where he shoots the ground, jumps up, shoots the ground, and then let's see, we got the split into clones here. One of them's real. They're very squishy for the clones, though. As you can see, we just kind of turboed them down. But yeah, you don't want to be standing in like the epicenter of like when he shoots the ground and lets the spikes out. And you can see he's just kind of shooting in random directions sometimes. Not the best AI on this guy, but his unpredictability can be a bit of an issue, I guess, sometimes. Don't really know where he's headed. We got some hazards on the map going on, of course. And for reference, these attacks would be doing a lot more damage. I do have 79% max chaos res, so... but yeah, I think that's about it for this guy. Not seeing anything new, so let's just finish him off. We got here, we need one more piece, so we're going to do the Enslaver. Enslaver, I believe, is physical. Okay, Enslaver. Boop. Cortex? No Cortex. Skip? You can often get these maps, like the Shaper and Elder Guardian maps from Zana herself, so we probably could have done some Zanas on the early ones to see if we could save a map or two, but I did not think that far ahead. Normally I think I would have done Zanas on these, but... Goodbye, buddy. Hello, Enslaver. And you can see we've got shocked ground here just because of the map mods. It's got more life, extra damage, extra damage. Pretty dangerous normally, I would say. Especially on the shock ground. Okay, so you can see we're getting some area like explosions here. And he's just got a bunch of like really weird AoE attacks. He's a very weird boss actually, just in general. So you want to be moving, not standing in those AoEs, right? not walking into them either, you know. And then we got the sword throw, so you're just gonna wanna keep avoiding the sword throw. He's turning here. Okay, you don't want to be in the middle of that, let me tell you. That's it's like Duresso's like ice clones almost. And he's got some single sword throws. Got some more, I think those are stage hazards going on. Kind of hard to tell what his abilities are and what the stage hazards are. So yeah, he can be a little tricky, but you know, just regular mitigation works on him, so it's not super hard. I obviously don't want to be standing in those beams. Those beams are usually bad news. And that's basically that. So now we can get on to the juice of Elder. Now, of course, with Elder and Uber Elder, the Pog drops are the Watcher's Eyes themselves, which aren't super rare. Not going to see them every time, but with the Uber Elder, you can drop the 3 stat Watcher's Eyes, and with the regular Elder, you can only drop the 2 stat Watcher's Eyes. I'm not sure if they have a chance to be 3. I think they're just always 2, but I'm not actually sure about that. You can tell by the eye level. If it's eye 86, unidentified, then it'll ID into 3 stats. So we can see here that we got some tentacle action going on here when he goes up like that. We had the like, he's locked us in place. We're taking a decay. You kind of have to tank a little bit of that, and then you can go behind him there. If you have things like Calm's Roots, I think you can like stay safe from that. There's the Slam, where he like teleport slams. Very similar to Shaper, just also like different variations. You want to be clearing these little poopers, because they're going to spawn poop in your arena, and it's basically going to be ground degens, like like Shaper, you get ground degens. You got the same kind of attacks. It'll be like this stuff that they spawn. And yeah, multiple degens, not a good idea to be tanking for sure. What was I saying? For this circle, you want to be inside the circle. Which can be kind of hard when he's doing things like that, right? But you want to be inside when it explodes. It doesn't really matter until it explodes. So getting the timing down on that can be kind of tricky, I would say. Lots of cold damage going on here, so you know, opposite to Shaper, who I'm not really sure what kind of LE damage Shaper does. Maybe it's all, maybe it's lightning. I think Shaper does a lot of lightning damage. But Shaper has a better mix of damage, I think. This is just mostly cold damage, I believe. And Fizz. Probably Fizz. Yeah, like the tentacles, I'm pretty sure are physical damage. I'm like, pretty sure about that. You can correct me if I'm wrong, though. So we're just going to burst him until we get to this phase. Now, this is the part that matters for regular... for Uber Elder, it doesn't matter how long you take for the fight. You have a chance of getting a Watcher's Eye. For regular Elder, if Shaper dies, if you don't protect him, which you can see we're going to have no problem with here, but if he dies, you cannot get a Watcher's Eye from the drop. And generally, it's better to sell them unidentified to people who are going to gamble them. If you want to gamble them, there's a better way of gambling them, which is to get divination cards that can give you Watcher's Eyes, because it's usually cheaper to do that. Although it can be a little bit more of a pain to buy. So yeah, if you're doing like bulk IDing of Watcher's Eyes, then you're probably okay with buying like the un-ID'd ones. But if you're just like, oh, I want to gamble my eye that I got, you should sell it, keep a bit of the profit so that you can just buy the div cards to gamble one. Because they're more efficient generally. It'll be like half the price of like a 3-stat Watcher's Eye, so it'll be about the same as a 2-stat Watcher's Eye with your chance of getting 3 stats, but they're usually a bit cheaper than the 2-stat Watcher's Eye, so on average it's going to be better. And as you can see here, there's slowly more portals popping up as the fight goes on. We're now in the phase where we have to DPS the Elder himself. And now that he's at 0, he's going to do big explosions. Anna's going to pop a bubble, stand in the bubble so you don't die. And oh my goodness, we got a Watcher's Eye. Now, contrary to what I just said, I'm going to ID it for the sake of entertainment. But normally what I would do, see it's I-85, is I would sell this, and then I would just get Samurai's Eye cards or Azuran set or something, just to gamble my 1 jewel and then keep the profit. Or I wouldn't even gamble the eyes, I would just sell them. It's so much, like, un-ID'd I-86 eyes can sell for upwards of like 10, 12x sometimes. It wasn't that much last league, because the rares are fucking OP last league, but they can be expensive. Now, it's notable that these did get, like, somewhat nerfed, but as you can see, I think this is a pretty good one we just got here. I can also just show you real quick how I go ahead and price check Watcher's Eyes like this. Now, notably, this is standard. So, the pricing is going to be a little bit different than it would be on League. Because normally, the standard would be my secondary reference. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for Hatred Flat Cold Damage. And we're going to look for Discipline. Regeneration per second, I believe is what we got. And we're going to turn off these mods individually once we check them together. So by checking them together, we can see this jewel exists on standard. There's a bunch of them at 20 exalts. So if I priced it at 19 exalts, because this one doesn't have any extra stats. This one has like a really good extra stat though. So probably if I price this at 19 exalts, it might sell very slowly. These were listed 2 months, 3 months ago. So maybe like 15x, I think, would be a good price for this one. Like a little bit lower than this because these ones aren't selling, but like it's the same as like these ones. But what we can also do is we can check individual Hatred is worth 1 exalt on standard. That would probably be a lot more on the League. And this is like a little under an exalt. On League, those might have been like a few exalts, and that would give you your minimum value that the jewel would sell for. And then you would probably want to find that sweet spot in the middle where your jewel is actually going to give you that return, and you get what it's worth, right? And then what I would normally do is after checking the League, I would check standard to see what they're going for on standard. Sometimes there'll be more, sometimes there'll be less, but it can give you a little more information. And what you can also do actually is you can check offline listings. So we can see here, we can see here that there's a bunch of these that were listed for like 2x, 3x on standard. Like 3 months ago, 3 days ago. So these aren't ones that were listed like a long time ago before they were like valuable for this mod combination. These are like ones that have been listed like some reasonable amount of time ago. And some of these people just probably haven't logged in during some of that time. But I would say that maybe this is leaning me closer to the range where it might be 5x, just because there's so many listings. But I would probably maybe start at 10 instead of 15 and work my way down if it's not selling, right? Whoops. Let's just clear my trade window here. But yeah, that's that. We'll be back for Uber Elder later, and have a good day.